Folks, some way, somehow, I have never, ever produced a guide on hounds. I mean, what? Hounds play a massive role all across Don't Starve. And with their various forms, mechanics, and spawning abilities, you're gonna want to know everything you can about these puppies to take full advantage. So sorry for being lazy, I guess. But without further ado, let's talk doggos. We will certainly talk the entire pack attack in a minute, but let's just showcase the basic hound to start. These fellas sit at 150 health, deal 20 damage, and will be running fast trying to nip your behind. What you see before you will likely become a very, very familiar sight as time draws on. But if you can manage it, Kiting Hound sees you landing 2 to 3 hits in yourself, following a baited attack from them, of course. But in groups of 3 or 4, this could be challenging. However, we'll talk many other murder methods soon enough. And oh yeah, normal hounds always drop a monster meat, but have a 12.5% chance to drop a hound's teeth too. Come winter and beyond, expect to encounter blue hound variants, be it in the aforementioned wave attacks, or naturally via a run-in with the Mac Tusk. Blue hounds sit at only 100 health, but will be dealing more damage. However, there are other dangers that will certainly run a chill down your spine. Or, really, just simply turn you into a popsicle. Killing blue hounds in quick succession can and will result in the player becoming frozen for 5 seconds. Or, of course, until damage. So waiting between blue hound murders can actually be a really good option if you can manage to do so. Blue hounds always drop a single piece of monster meat and 2 hound teeth, but have a 20% chance to drop a blue gem as well. If you're looking for teeth, blue hounds are the way to go, no questions asked. And finally, red hounds. Likely first encountered come the first summer and beyond, red hounds share the same stats as blue hounds. However, their death results in literal fiery explosions that could spell disaster for personal bases, resource farms, or just the world around you. Keep them away from the good stuff, friendos, and make sure to actually identify firehounds within these waves before it may get too late. Firehounds also always drop a monster meat, a single tooth, and share that same 20% chance to drop a gem, only it's gonna be red this time. Now, about these periodic waves we keep mentioning, I'm sure you have shivered from the sounds of these pups approaching as they start off low and start to grow, just like the voices of Whoville. And hopefully you heed your character's warnings, as they will share in your terror as these beasts approach. However, being warned is the easy bit. It's knowing what you need to know past this first initial wave that concerns me. As you'd imagine, the waves start out small and semi-infrequent actually, but build to potentially crazy levels as time goes on. Each wave can and will see 10 hounds plus eventually. They will occur much, much earlier, and even the actual attack will spring on you in but 30 seconds come day 101 beyond, so bye-bye any fair warnings. And even more to note, the chances for special hounds per wave also increase as the days climb, so you got to stay on your toes. Waves will get overwhelming, but even early waves can throw folk for a loop, so what are some ways to handle these suckers? Well, I typically always recommend running the pack to the beefalo herds, as the group of fluffballs can really take the stress off, especially for you beginner players out there. Honestly, beefs should always come out on top of these mob-on-mob bouts, so it's truly still one of the best methods around, no matter your experience level. Just be careful come the horny season. You can take the hounds here, but you gotta keep your distance too. What about fighting impending doom with an even worse fate? An encounter with slappy hentai. Run the hounds into the swamp and there's about a million things they'll get distracted on, which in general is actually really good for you, but the hentai will certainly make quick work of them in combat. So shake them and leave them to die some slappy death. That, or leave them to the bees if that's an option for you. Again, really, it's all just about making the game work for you. So use whatever method works. But if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. It's teeth traps time. Use the shoddy dental work of some to murder the many, I say. I recommend converting every tooth you obtain into a trap, especially you beginner players. Make as many as you can and choose a fine location for a sort of teeth trap field, as it were. As time presses on, you'll obviously get more teeth, and more teeth equals more traps, and more traps means plenty of puppy death. Teeth traps are an absolute must and can keep you safe and secure for years to come. And the only downside is that you need to reset all the dang things each time you're done with it. However, these can be used for more than just hounds. But Beard, we can sail now. Aren't we better off just running to the sea? No. Not at all. With recent updates, the hounds swim and will follow you immediately onto your boat, so they'll chase you down no matter where you go. Also, just killing hounds, specifically fire hounds on your boats potentially, is gonna spell some pretty bad news Beard situations, as the fire can only go one place to begin with. In short, screw sailing once again. But do note that swimming hounds are technically wet, so if you're already on the water when a wave's coming, electrical damage is gonna damage them even more, so have fun with that. Oh, but if you do make it to the lunar biome and make your last stand there, then unfortunately, you may have to make a last stand. For you see, a hound murdered on the moon has a 50% chance to be reborn as a horrifying horror hound. Horror hounds have only 100 health, but will deal more damage than a normal hound, so be very, very careful among the potential chaos. Make note, you can't prevent a horror hound from spawning by burning the remaining corpses of other hounds lying around, so be ready to do so if you can't stand to look at these things. A few more spawning facts before we finish on loot talk. Hound mounds are a thing, and are usually heavily concentrated in the Dragonfly deserts, unless you get yourself a lovely Hound mound fortress set piece, of course, which is both incredibly dangerous and very fruitful. These structures, though, hold 3 hounds each, and will actually regenerate more hounds every minute, at least, and don't starve together, as timings varies between games. All variants of hounds are allowed to spawn from these mounds depending on the season, and the loot from them can be truly useful. But you just got to mind the numbers, folks. Do not get easily overwhelmed around these things by just running in gung-ho. That is a horrible idea. But you'll obtain 2 bone shards, upwards of 3 hound teeth, and a 1% chance to get a red or blue gem per mount. And that is just great stuff. And obviously, the hounds that come from these are quite farmable if you play smart and plan accordingly, but we'll talk farms in a later video, I think. Hey folks, you see that welcoming creature over yonder? That's what's called a Varg, a big, hairy hound daddy, as it were. Encountered via hunting across the Don't Starve universe, Vargs will howl and spawn 2 hounds to come to its aid. And yes, all variants are plausible. Vargs are tough SOBs to handle solo, and these hounds will certainly overwhelm you in the time being. So be sure to either tag team them or use any of those methods mentioned earlier to avoid any bad news Beard situation. And lastly, the Moonstone event. I love this event, so I don't want to spoil it for you. So go watch how to take part in it yourself so you can be surrounded by even more evil puppies in the end. Alright. Loot time. With a hefty 8 hound's teeth and 6 silk, you can sew together a Dapper Vest, a dress item that has a 3.3 sanity per minute gain when worn, while providing the measly 60 points of insulation against the winds of winter. It ain't great to combat the cold, everyone, so just don't frickin' bother. However, the vest itself is used in the amazing High Bear Nation vest, so definitely frickin' use it for that one. Once Bairdra comes a stopping, of course. Speaking of sewing, hound teeth go into a sewing kit itself. Sewing kits repair most of all your clothing items and even thermal stones themselves. So, they are incredible investments in the long run. Thank you, hounds. Hound teeth even go into making the best ranged weapons in the game. Blow darts. Easily craftable with but one tooth being needed. Blow darts deal 100 damage a shot, while keeping you a fair distance away from your enemies. Just like teeth traps, I would recommend using your teeth for these things, as ranged weapons can go a heck of a long way in the mid to late game. And finally, after we've murdered all his or hers family, why not make up for it by adopting the Varkling, a hound-like critter from the rock den. As we know already though, pets are completely pointless. But hey, perhaps this little one will ease your conscience after all this. One last fun note, haunting hounds can and will alter their various forms, so you or your dead friends could very well abuse this mechanic to try and kill only blue or red hounds if you wish, and this is very nice. But there you have it, everyone, a guide long overdue. Now, more than ever, hounds are extremely versatile and incredibly dangerous. All the better, though, for when it comes to abusing them for our pleasure. Hound loot is essential if handled properly. Hound farming can be amazingly lucrative, and these pups offer new and unique challenges to always keep you on your toes. I hope the knowledge gained today will help in not letting the dogs out, if you know what I mean. And thank you for watching, folks. Bye-bye.